I've been thinking about stand-up comedy and what it's taught me about life and why I've been so drawn to it since I started in 2018. And it's got me thinking about some questions I actually have for you. But first, let me tell you a quick story. When I was in the midst of a big transition, I was living in the Middle East, I was going through divorce, didn't know what was going to happen with my life and where I was going to move and live and how I was going to co-parent my kids across continents. I remember going into a meditation, and in the meditation, I got these words, or visions, I guess, and I wrote them down in my journal, and there were things like New York City and soul coaching and working with women, modern love. I don't know, I had this whole list, and it didn't make sense at that time because I was supposed to be moving to DC. Ends up that was a little bit of I guess it was like a directional signal for me about what was to come. Again, I didn't even know what soul coaching meant. It was just kind of funny. It was like, well, that sounds good. And then over these years, I ended up moving to New York City for a short term. It was 3 years. And I found myself doing stand-up. And the reason that happened was I got like 3 kind of big signs right in a row. And for me, that's often how the universe works. It's like hits me over the head 3 times before I really pay attention. The first sign was I was at a comedy show, and there was something about being live in an audience with hundreds of people laughing at kind of profound, deep issues and serious issues, but finding the humor in those, in our humanity. I know it sounds cheesy, but it was really amazing. And I just looked around the audience and I said to myself, this is so healing. This is so, so healing. The second sign was I ran into Steve Martin in a cafe on the Upper West Side. He's like my comedic hero. I loved him as a kid. He was my childhood comedic crush. I still love Steve Martin. So I think he was looking for the bathroom. He found me, but I didn't say anything. I think I just turned purple and ran out. Those moments I always think I'm gonna be so cool. No, was not. Third moment, also equally embarrassing. I boarded a flight to San Francisco and Ricky Gervais was in the first row with his partner Jane. Again, I was so starstruck. All I could say was, oh my gosh, it's David Brent, which is his character in the Office UK version. He was like, yeah, he high-fived me. So all those three things happened. I went to the bookstore at Barnes & Noble, as one does, and I was looking at stand-up comedy books. I don't know why. And I pulled one out by Stephen Rosenfield. And he teaches comedy. He teaches comedy in New York City. And I ended up signing up for his class at the American Comedy Institute. And that was the beginning. I really thought I would just try this. It's a couple weeks in a class, and then you do a stand-up show. And that'll just be a fun experience. But I was hooked. I loved it. Everything about it, even though it made me so nervous and I didn't sleep the night before my first show. I was like, this is supposed to be fun. But the reason I've been tying all of these threads together, I'm like, well, what is it about stand-up comedy that's pulled me over all these years? Because now I'm back into it. Yes, finally in Santa Monica, performing again. And I feel like I've learned so many things about life, about resilience, about transition, about healing, truly, through comedy and through stand-up specifically. Now, I'm not an improviser, but improv is also amazing and magical. But my partner is, so I get to see a lot of improv too. So the reason I'm making this is I want to help bring some of those learnings to you. And I'm curious, what parts of stand-up or comedy do you find interesting? In my community yesterday, we did some of the writing prompts, and we shared some ranting, what we do often at open mics. And there was something cool about that. Like we felt like it was very connecting. And, you know, there's the whole storytelling element. There is definitely the vulnerability element. But what about it is interesting to you? What questions do you have? And yeah, what would you like to know more about that might help you in your own life? That would be interesting for me to know. Also, have you ever had those moments where you're like, just the signs are like knocking you over the head, like, this is for you, even though you're like, are you sure about that? All right, my friend, that's it for now. And thank you for watching. If you don't subscribe to my newsletter, please sign up on newyorkminutes.org. Leave a little comment below with your questions, and I'll see you soon. Ciao.